plague of Vampire Survivors clones continues to grow, a genre that has exploded so quickly that it doesn't even have an official name yet. Survival Academy is another one of those, and although it lacks the subtlety and nuance of the first, it has its own charm and manages, most importantly in this equation, to become very addictive also. Since you are here, don't leave without leaving a like or a comment. I would gladly appreciate a sub if you are into indie games, and do not forget I also give the news, like some sort of poor man CNN. Win-win. Thanks a lot. I liked the story that the studio that made the game, Ganitani, wrote to wrap it up. In the future, our world becomes so polluted that, as soon as the gates to hell appeared on Earth, expeditions began to be sent to conquer it, hoping it to become the future resident of all humanity. Something that, in a way, would be the expected scenario, with the difference that, in this case, it was with all of us still alive. For the sake of simplicity, let's call these games Reverse Bullet Hell, and the ingredients are the usual ones. We have several characters that we find and acquire, several weapons that are paired with different abilities and that when fully developed become a new super weapon much stronger, endless waves of enemies based on mythological creatures associated with the depths of hell, and many ways to make our characters progress after each death, encouraging repetition and exploration. Graphically close to a cartoon, something that works well and that, in general, makes all the actions that we are doing and items that we have to find more noticeable to our eyes. Something that is not always easy with the graphical confusion that these games invariably provide. What I didn't particularly like was the fact that the game was playable on several platforms without any borders other than an invisible wall, which meant that the game's currency or the items could fall off the scenario multiple times, becoming inaccessible. Each of the levels represents one of the mortal sins, and in the level that represents gluttony, this problem becomes even worse because the treasures can be dropped in areas that are eaten by enemies, being permanently marked on the screen, being able to hide treasures placed in the same direction, and permanently inaccessible because they are located in an area that does not exist anymore. In terms of progression, there's a lot to unlock, from having to find characters in the levels, then having to buy them with currency, and finally unlocking all their evolutions. Then there is the general progression that is applicable to all characters. All this together makes our work easier over time. Something that also adds replay value are the generous rewards given to us when we reach certain goals and encourage us to improve. There are mixed in-game guides regarding weapon and skill pairings. On the one hand, many of them have always appeared in the glossary, facilitating our choice. Others are not mentioned anywhere, which meant that I didn't use them much. Of course, we can always get this information outside of the game, even though the game isn't gigantic. What I don't understand is why in some situations the pairings appear automatically on the screen and in others, even appearing in the glossary, they don't. This just adds extra work. It doesn't seem to me to have any practical implications. As is also to be expected, there are weapons and skills that are much more useful than others, with the shield being the most useful of all by a large margin. And as the game is more generous than others of the same genre in what it gives us in each run, most of the time we just have to wait and be patient, along with some planning, to get the 6 perfect weapon matchups. As much as the devs may not like it, Survival Academy will always be compared to Vampire Survivors, and of course this particular matchup is very difficult to win, but Survival Academy is a very good game in its own merits, with all the ingredients in place to be well worth the buy, especially at the price of €4, which represents an excellent value for this early access proposal that already has a lot of content and a lot of hours of product to offer. If you like the genre, you'll like Survival Academy. See you next time, guys. Bye!